Good morning. Today is the 27th of March 2013. Yesterday I had to drive to Kuopio, which is 100 kilometers, no, 80 something kilometers. It takes about an hour or so from here. Kuopio Hospital is the university teaching hospital where I go to have my kidney monitored and my heart. And last week I've gone there for a 6-hour test. And yesterday I went there for the results of the test. And yesterday's journey turned into a bit of a nightmare. And I want to talk to you about Crohn's disease, which I had when I was 15. I had surgery for Crohn. I was in hospital 6 months, and eventually they diagnosed it as Crohn's disease and removed part of my colon. I don't know how much, whether it was a large part or a small part, I don't know. But ever since then, on and off, I've been on medication. Some medication has caused some quite bad side effects, especially mental side effects. I've had periods of feeling quite well and other periods of not feeling well. So for most of my life, I've had to be self-employed and work when I'm feeling well. Apart from the Crohn's disease now is not active, but because I've had part of my colon removed, it's extremely difficult to control my diet. There's lots of foods I can't eat, and sometimes it's really difficult. Even after all these years, I'm still not sure 100% of what is okay and what is not. Also, because I've got chronic kidney malfunction, I'm on a restricted diet. There's lots of things I cannot eat, which normally would be quite good for you. I'm not going to go into details, but also I had a period of ulcerative colitis, and also I've been diagnosed as irritable bowel syndrome, which means that my bowels are rather unpredictable. And what happened yesterday is I've given it a lot of thought whether I should actually put this on YouTube or not, because even to talk about what happened yesterday is quite upsetting and disturbing. And but I'm going to do it because there must be many thousands of people who have gone through what I went through yesterday and will understand. And I will tell you exactly what happened. My appointment in Kuopio was for 12 noon, and I left here about 10:15, which gave me an hour and 3/4, plenty of time. I always allow plenty of time, because when you get there, you have to find a parking space. It's in a multi-story car park, and sometimes that can take 10 minutes. You have to go round and round, up and up and up. And also another thing, because I have neuropathic problems with my legs and feet, that even during very cold weather, I often drive with just sandals and socks, of course other clothes as well. But so when I was driving to Kuopio, I had only sandals on. The weather was quite fine, but still very cold and still a lot of snow about. And I had breakfast, and I'd been to the toilet, and my bowels were normal, so I thought everything was okay. And I left here at 10:15, and I stopped about 20 kilometers in a service station because I couldn't tell if the heater was working. I couldn't see the digital display. So I checked it was working. I reset the temperature, and then I continued to drive. I hadn't driven more than about half a kilometer when I suddenly started to feel uncomfortable in my stomach. And if I'd have known what was going to happen, I should have turned around and gone straight back to the service station and used the toilet facilities there. But I didn't, because I didn't want to be late for my appointment, and I thought it was just a normal tummy ache, which I get quite a lot of. And what happened yesterday is probably the only time it's ever happened in my life to that extent. So the next place where I could stop, where there would be a toilet, was about another 40 kilometers, which is about oh half an hour or more. Um, and as I drove, the pain increased in my stomach, and it felt like I had some kind of terrible pressure in my bowels. And I knew then, after 5 or 10 minutes of driving, I knew then that I didn't know whether I could actually hold my bowels, or what's going to happen. In the past, in Finland, there are not many places to stop for toilets, and many people will stop in a parking space and go into the forest and find a place where they can relieve themselves. That's quite common. There's not much traffic in Finland, and the population is only 5 million, so it's not a problem. But because I had sandals on, and because the snow was so deep, and because I didn't have a good place to stop, uh, um, it would have been so difficult to have gone into the forest in the deep snow with just sandals on, that I thought I'd try and grit my teeth and just hope that I could get to the Teboil service station, which was in a place called Pulja. It's spelled Polja. The O has got the O with dots, so the O is not an O. In Finnish, it's so it's Pulja. I hoped I could get there. And anyway, I kept thinking, if only there was somewhere, could I go to a house? Is there a shop? But I knew that once I got out of the car, I wouldn't be able to hold my bowels. And I didn't want to go to a house and have to explain the situation either in English or in Finnish. I mean, it's quite a difficult situation. And I just hoped that I could get to that little garage in Puglia to use the toilet, which I know that little place quite well. And I just hoped there wouldn't be a queue outside. It's only a very small toilet, it's not even 2 meters by 1 meter, it's even smaller. It has a toilet and a little sink, and it has paper towels and toilet paper. But often there's a queue there, and you have to wait 10, 15. And I just prayed that I could get to that little stopping place, that little service station, and that there wouldn't be. But I just didn't know what was going to happen. Anyway, this has never happened to me before, and it's quite disgusting what I'm going to tell you. But eventually, the pressure was so great, it's just like an explosion, and I filled my whole of my pants with poo, and it was I was sitting in this awful kind of a bath of poo. It was warm, and it was horrible, and it was the most disgusting sensation I've ever had. I've been through lots of trials and tribulations in my life. This I can say, yesterday was one of the worst. And I had fairly thick underpants on. I had jeans on as well. And for some reason, I had taken my Canon camera bag with me, and I'd put inside that bag a spare pair of pants and some toilet paper, because I have had in the past to maybe stop in the forest and do my toilet. So okay, so I knew that I just had to get to that service station in Puglia and somehow get into the toilet, but I didn't know how I was going to manage. I got to the service station. I parked the car as close to the entrance as I could. I don't think I even locked the car, but I did take my camera bag with me. But as I got out of the car, I could actually feel diarrhea running down inside my jeans to my feet. And it actually even went onto my socks. It was so embarrassing, but fortunately, I went into the cafe and got to there was nobody waiting, so I didn't have to wait to use the toilet. I got into the toilet. I've taken a picture of the toilet so you can see that as well separately. Not that it's important, but I just want to explain. This is so awful. I managed to gingerly take my jeans down and of course my pants were absolutely full full of poo. And somehow I got my legs out of the jeans and out of the pants, and I carefully put the pants with the poo, trying not to, into a little sink there. And then I started to use a lot of um, like like kitchen roll, but it's the paper in a machine there which you use to dry your hands when you've washed. And I must have used 30 or 40 sheets, and my whole of my bottom and my front and my genitals, the whole of my under, bottom, and front as well, up to almost to my waist, was covered in poo. It took me, I must have been in that toilet 20 minutes or 25 minutes trying to clean myself as best I could. It was just awful. And I was flushing the toilet many, many times because I was worried that I would block the toilet up with all the paper I was putting down. And I was also so worried that there'd be somebody outside saying, "What's that man doing in there? Why is he flushing the toilet so many times? What's he doing?" That was my anxiety, that the people outside are waiting to come in and start to complain to the people in the cafe that there's something odd going in. But fortunately, there wasn't any knocking on the door, which was lucky. And I cleaned myself up. I also, inside my jeans, there was also poo, which I tried to clean as well with paper as much as I could. And I got my spare pants from my camera bag and put those on, and got my jeans back on again and tried to clean the toilet. And then I had to deal with the pants that were in the sink. And of course, it was sort of, if you ever change a baby's nappy, it was as bad as that, if not worse. And I had, and also, because you pay for water in Finland, a lot of people don't have very high water pressure in the public facilities, but this cafe only had very low water pressure. Anyway, I had to somehow rinse these pants many, many, many times, because eventually I managed to get the pants fairly clean, and also had to keep pushing the poo with my fingers down the bottom of the sink so it would flow out. And then I found a piece of plastic which I wrung the pants out and put them in a piece of plastic and put them in a camera bag. And then I tried to clean everything. I washed thoroughly, and I was feeling quite shaken up by all this, really shaken up. I left the toilet. Nobody was outside. Nobody stared at me, which thank goodness. I took some water, some fresh cold water from the service area, and then I got back to the car and drove to Kuopio. This has made me a little bit late. When I got into the foyer of the hospital, they had the building work had been going on, and it was very difficult for me to find my way. And when I was trying to find my way, I had to get to the fourth floor, and I was trying to find a lift to the fourth floor, and then the phone rang. It was Lisa. Evidently, the hospital had phoned her to ask where I was because I was a few minutes late. And I was in such a state, I can't remember what I said to Lisa, but I just said, "I'm here and I'm trying to." Anyway, eventually I found the way to the fourth floor, and they took me straight in. A nurse showed me into the doctor's room, and I asked the nurse for some water, and I sat down and had some water, and then the doctor, we talked, and she also gave me an ultrasound of my heart. She said that the tests that I'd had the week before were okay and that my heart was okay, which was really, really good news. And then I hadn't had anything to eat or drink. I just wanted to get home. I just wanted to get home to my safety at my home. And on the way home, I stopped again in that little cafe garage in Pulja. I took some pictures, which you can see, and I also took a little picture of the toilet. And then I got home, and when Lisa, and that's all I can say. Is if I expect other people to have had these experiences, but this was something which I could not predict. It was the worst experience that I've had when it comes to my bowels, and I'm sorry if this is offensive or upsets you in any way. And this picture quality isn't particularly good, but I'm using the live webcam, which is not very good quality, but it's not necessary, but you can still hear what I've said, and this is what I've lived with since I was 15 years old. So I do hope I do hope that my family, friends, past and present, understand that I've had health problems, did all my life, and some of the medication that I've taken has affected my mood. I haven't always been the best dad, but I've always tried to do the best I could, and that's all I have to say for now. Thank you. Bye bye.